The following program does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the staff, management, or ownership of this station.
The following pre-recorded program is brought to you by Vertuvian, a Texas-based registered investment advisor.
Now, let the uprising begin.
There are only two genders, and one of them is right here. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Hello. Once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. I'm the aforementioned Angela Box, and as per usual, I walk in today, I'm like, what are we going to talk about? Stuff and things and things and stuff. And I was telling Steven, y'all, it is so sad to me when I see a person, and I'm sure you feel the same way. I'm not saying anything revolutionary here. When you see someone with a severe disability begging on the side of the road in a wheelchair, like, it stabs me in the heart, like I can't even explain. And I know that there is such a thing as toxic charity, where you keep giving money to the people because you feel terrible for them, and then they don't get the help that they need. I understand that idea, but today I was coming into the studio, and there was a disabled man, like, missing a leg, like, it's just, guys, in a wheelchair, very dirty, and he was, probably in the midst of asking for money when the light changed, I guess, and he was literally in one of the lanes as you come off the freeway, and I was like, this guy's going to get killed. So I called 911 to let police know that this gentleman needed help to be removed, and hopefully is taken to a shelter to get some help. But, it just really is, there before the grace of God go I, and all of us. And I pray for those people, and I know you do too. And it reminded me of this, in a weird sort of way, we're all so lucky, if you're listening, and I know everyone has their struggles, their personal struggles. But if you are listening, hopefully you are well and safe and okay. But I know there are people out there, a lot of people that are not, especially with the uncertainty that we've got going on right now in the world and things like that. It's scary for people. But I do hope that everyone, with the market going, beep, 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 that bleep crazy over the last few weeks, just hold the line. And we're going to talk about the market, but I was reminded I was listening. Okay, so I was telling Steven, I like to, in the first segment, kind of talk about what I'm doing and thinking and watching and all these things. Fred and I last weekend, I refuse to go to the movie theater now. COVID ruined going to the movies. Be careful what you wish for, leftists. Because I know that you wanted to get rid of one guy, but you, really shifted everybody's understanding of, not understanding, but, what we'll do to go see a movie. I like movie popcorn, for sure, and that's the only reason I would go to see a movie at this point, because of the movie popcorn, but you really don't need to. And I was waiting for A Complete Unknown to get released on a streaming service, and last weekend it did. So I was like, good, I didn't pay for it, great. So A Complete Unknown is the Bob Dylan biopic, where Timothy Chalamet, who they're trying to butch him up now, they femmed him out for a really long time, and they're like, he's like, it's just, I played a gay boy, and whatever that. What, Steven? What was that movie? The movie he got nominated for an Oscar, like some gay thing, whatever. Of course. And on that note, while Steven's looking this up, Daniel Craig tried to do a movie last year, or did a movie last year called Queer. And it's like, hello, 2020 called, it wants its movie back. We don't need, James Bond, queering it up. Nobody wants to see that. I'm sorry, they don't. And it's stop, it's like total Oscar bait movie that Daniel Craig did last year. But anyway, Timothy Chalamet played Bob Dylan, and I'm fascinated by these things. Fran Lebowitz, the great satirist, the great writer, she famously said that talent is the one thing in the world that is completely unequally distributed. I mean, you can make the case, wealth is unequally distributed. Okay, maybe, perhaps, but you can work towards achieving wealth. Call Me By Your Name was the one Timothy Chalamet was, his Oscar bait movie with Him and Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer, before he knew he was a cannibal, was trying to get a Best Supporting Actor nominee, and Timothy got Best Actor nominee. Yeah, he was nominated, yeah. And then this year he was also nominated for A Complete Unknown. Yeah, thank you, A Complete Unknown. So anyway, my point is this, is that Fran Lebowitz, who is so funny, and if you've never read Fran Lebowitz, go get the Fran Lebowitz Reader, which is one of the books that I've kept over the years, and I've read it a few times. It's so funny. So funny. She's just witty and hilarious and complete leftist lunatic, but very, very funny and insightful. But anyway, she said talent is the one thing in the world that is unequally distributed. And as you all know on this show, I'm a big believer in staying in your lane and don't try to be something you're not. And I know that Bob Dylan, he basically said in this movie, which was really well done, I thought. And it wasn't like a whole retrospective of his life. And it wasn't like trying to explain his family, because Bob Dylan is famously like, really doesn't talk about his upbringing in Minnesota. Like, you don't know anything. I don't know anything about his family. I just know that he kind of had this just singular, amazing talent. And they talked about the relationship with Joan Baez and kind of how he left the folk movement. And it was really well done. Like, I really enjoyed it. And Joan Baez, who's also a leftist lunatic, she's going to be, oh, by the way, she's going to be headlining a stupid rally with Neil Young soon. Like, fight oligarchy rally or something. It's like, I appreciate her talent. I appreciate all that. But the point is that Bob Dylan said, when someone said, where do your songs come from? Or how, I'm paraphrasing, where do your songs come from? And he said, people are basically saying, why don't I get those songs? Why aren't those songs given to me? Like the jealousy that people have with people with legitimate talent. There's a lot of jealousy and a lot of backbiting and a lot of, why can't I do this? It's like, well, because you don't have the talent. You don't have the ability to do that. And not everyone gets that talent. Speaking of, when I was an actress in LA, you guys, I was obsessed with Diamonds and Rust, the song that Joan Baez is incredibly famous for. And it's a beautiful song. You could argue that it's better than any song that Bob Dylan wrote. I mean, for some people, like, oh, that's crazy because he put out 55 albums and his catalog is just amazing. But Diamonds and Rust is a gorgeous song. And it was written about Bob Dylan and her relationship with him. And I remember one time I had this agent who was like, Angela, I'm going to send you out on a musical theater audition. I was like, oy vey. Like, I am not a musical theater actress at all. I hate musical theater. Like, I can't even explain to you. Like, I didn't even like the Book of Mormon. I was like, it's awful. I hated it. And like, I think I've said before, like, I watched Les Miserables once live, and I'm like, well, that's 3 hours of my life I'll never get back. So anyway, she sent me out on this audition, and I was like, what am I going to sing? I'm like, how about Diamonds and Rust a cappella? So I did. I go and I sing Diamonds and Rust a cappella, and the gay casting director at the end of it, he's like, oh, that was sweet. That was cute. Thank you. Like, that's how he dismissed me. He was like, aw, that was sweet. Like, that's one of my sister's favorite LA stories. She's like, only you would go to a stupid musical theater audition and sing Diamonds and Rust because I cared that little about. And I told my agent, I was like, please don't send me out on this crap anymore because I hate musical theater. Like, I can't even explain to you how much. But anyway, that's my recommendation for the week. Go watch A Complete Unknown. It's great. When we get back, we'll talk about some stuff and things that happened this week. You're listening to Angela Box Show. Be right back.
Fighting for the conservative cause. It's the Box that rocks. Angela Box on AM 1070 and FM 103.3. The Answer.
Steven reminded me in the break that there's another Bob Dylan movie that a bunch of actors played Bob Dylan throughout his career, I guess. I need to go see that too. But I mean, God, 55 albums. The level of talent this man possessed is such a God thing. And, when you look at what Democrats promote, which is the wholesale killing of babies. I mean, let's keep it 100. I love watching election night coverage. I've mentioned this YouTube channel before, Base Life Guru. And he just put up a new one from Sky News in the UK. And I mean, they were like, I don't understand. I mean, I guess killing babies and up to 9 months is not the issue, not the winning issue people thought it was going to be. It's wild. When you think about, again, how talent is unequally distributed, and you look at an example like Bob Dylan, or you look at there's many, many examples of incredibly talented people who've done wonderful things in this world, who were like, yeah, my mom was counseled to abort me. Like, there's so many people. But think about all the people, all the little babies, all the little talent people, all the who knows, the Mozarts, the Bill Gates. Ugh, I hate saying that, but whatever. Forget Bill Gates. Steve Jobs, Elon's. Think about all those babies that were aborted that could have been. You never know. You never know. And it's very sad that the bloodlust of the Democrat Party is so extreme now that they think that that's the number one issue. And it's the number one issue for people is abortion. It's like, no, it's not, actually. And I like to say, because I went back to the States, if you want to go kill your baby, take an abortion road trip. Like, have at it. But if you're in Texas or Florida or other red states, like, there's a limit on these things. Heartbeat bill, 6 weeks, whatever. Honestly, like, it's just gross. Anyway, let's talk about something else, because there are other things happening. Ken Paxton news. Ken Paxton announced on Tuesday, the long-awaited announcement is the garbage human John Cornyn going to get a primary challenger? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he is. And thankfully it is not Dan Crenshaw. Because if Dan Crenshaw had decided to run, I'd be like, man, I mean, this really is like, it's not a Sophie's choice, because neither of them are beloved. It's a lesser of two evils, like 100%. And if Dan Crenshaw had run, I would have had to vote Cornyn, right? I mean, you'd have to go with Cornyn on that. But Paxton jumping in, I am really excited about this. And you can, save your consternation about Paxton for someone who cares. Like, I don't really care about these little issues that supposedly he did, which Tony Busby just expertly tore down during his impeachment trial. Ken Paxton is based. Ken Paxton gives 0 Fs, okay? Ken Paxton is a MAGA dream. And the fact that we've got John Thune, who is the erstwhile Senate leader, it's like, Trump's just waiting for this guy to, like, screw up. Like, he's waiting. It's like, John Thune, this is my theory about John Thune. I don't have any evidence of this, so don't sue me. Okay, this is literally a theory. John Thune could have been, or should have been, a very viable presidential candidate. He's attractive. He's from a very red state, South Dakota. This guy should have been, a trajectory like you've never seen. I'm wondering if there's some skeletons in John Thune's closet that perhaps has kept him from on that trajectory. But he got to be Senate Majority Leader, begrudgingly from all of us. Or like, ugh, this guy. Like, I'd much rather have Tim Scott or Rick Scott, the Scott brothers, Tim or Rick Scott as the Majority Leader, and perhaps that will come to pass at some point. But John Thune is showing his rhino cred this week because he's behind the scenes lobbying Trump. You gotta support John Cornyn. You gotta get behind John Cornyn. I swear to you, if Donald Trump somehow endorses John Cornyn in this race, I will be so disappointed. I will be so annoyed. And it's like, dude, no. But we don't know. We don't know what Trump's going to do. Maybe he's going to stay out of it entirely, but I hope he endorses Paxton. But okay, let's talk about this trade war stuff, because everyone's losing their minds over this. And I would like to remind everybody that the media didn't seem to care in 2020 when they're like, well, we got to shut everything down. And the market took a complete nosedive for as long as it took a nosedive for, because the entire economy in the world was shut down. Like, they didn't seem to care about that. Or like in 2022 when there was a big stock market crash, like they didn't care. What Trump is doing, and Maria Bartiromo was very spot on. She went on Jesse Waters' show on Tuesday, and she was like, listen, Trump has a very short window here, a very tight window here to get these things done. Because if we're going to be successful in recalibrating the American economy back to moving manufacturing back to the United States, back to having Americans create American jobs and building things in America, it's got to be really, really fast. And that's why you're seeing this hyper fast movement with these tariffs. Now, tariffs. It was like, oh, it's terrible. Oh my God. No, you guys, thank you, NAFTA and Bill Clinton. Ross Perot warned us about this. He said that sucking sound you hear coming from the South is all of our jobs going to Mexico, and all of our jobs going to China, and all of our jobs going to Canada. And these once vibrant communities, especially in the Blue Wall states, in the Rust Belt, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, all those jobs have now gone somewhere else. So you look at places like Flint, Michigan, or take your pick. They used to be vibrant towns, and now they're just destroyed because of exporting all of our jobs, which, again, we were warned about. But Bill Clinton was like, oh, free trade. And look, there's free trade, and then there's destroying the American economy, and there's got to be a balance of that, because you can't say I'm a hands-off libertarian, laissez-faire. You can say that if that's what you want to do, but you're destroying the American job market. Like, that's just it. You're having slave labor build our stuff. Like, let's keep it 100 here. So Trump doing this, these tariffs that he's doing, 10% across the board, which I think is quite reasonable. And then, different countries that have had a really big imbalance, like the EU, China, India, UK, things like that. Trump's like, yeah, we're not playing these games anymore. And now 70 countries so far, I mean, this was the other day, I'm sure more or hot-tailing it to Washington, D.C. to be like, okay, we need to make a deal. Now these countries are like, just like when Trump said with NATO, like, we're tired of paying your bills. We're tired of, like, you taking advantage of the United States, and y'all need to pony up enough money to make yourselves at the same level as America is paying. Like, we're done. He's doing that here. That's all he's doing. And the fact that we've never had a president until Donald Trump, like, ever, like, actually say to these other countries, we need some level playing fields here. This is what also is very annoying about the meltdown that the market is having, which, the market it's all psychological. It is all like, what are you feeling? I mean, yes, there's some, tangible things to the stock market, but it's also a psychological game. It's like, oh, this guy's upset, so I better go with this guy. Guys, we've never had a president that says we are going to make sure that countries that tariff us, for example, China, 67%. So it makes American companies have such a disadvantage when we're talking about exporting our own goods. And Trump, all he was doing was like saying, okay, China, we're going to do a 34% tariff on you, like literally half. And it's like, oh, the cacophony. Like, how dare you? And Trump's like, not playing. I'm not playing. And I think it's going to be quite interesting over the next few weeks. Trump is saying that about $4 trillion worth of businesses is coming back to the United States so far. And I think that's just going to increase. I think it's going to be okay, but it is scary. And, the billionaires and the millionaires out there are having a rough time because their stock market portfolios are taking a hit. I'm not just saying it's the billionaires and millionaires, but when you think of the stock market as opposed to the average blue-collar worker or the worker that's been shut out of this, free trade economy where all of our jobs are shipped to other places and they have to take, crap jobs, like, I think that the majority of the American people, that's the media, the hyping up of how bad this is and how bad this is and how bad this is. The American people know the media is lying, and so when the media lies, the media has lied to us so long, and the leftists have lied to us for so long that we realize, like, it's opposite day. So whatever the media is having a meltdown about, it's like, do the opposite. Like, we're good. Like, that makes you understand that this has to be done. It's a necessary surgery that you have to go through, and the birthing pains are going to be tough, but I think it's going to be okay in the end. I do. Okay. How long do we have, Stephen? 2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to tease this story. I talked about it last week, and Stephen reminded me, get to the Meghan Markle story, which I know everyone's like, oi, she's talking about Meghan Markle. I'm telling you, I'm fascinated with this heifer. Like, I don't make any bones about my fascination with this really mediocre level talent of a person that has somehow catapulted herself into worldwide fame. Now, admittedly, most people, it's a love to hate thing. It's a hate watch thing. It's like, we want to see this woman being taken down. Like, at some point it's going to happen. But there is a story that I talked about last week that I teased with, that I'm going to lead with the next segment. Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and this Sentabale group. And then there's an Ashley Biden connection too. And no one is really talking about the Ashley Biden connection or the Biden crime family connection, but we're going to talk about it in the next segment, because I do think it's relevant when you talk about what Trump is uncovering with the USAID, and the Doge is coming up with all these like ridiculous programs and everything like that. Like, why is USAID sending billions of dollars or millions of dollars to Sentabale, this random charity? Like, what's up with that? And we're going to talk about that when we come back. I'm cutting this segment short, Steven, so we'll pick this up when we get back. You're listening to Angela Box Show.
Infuriating the far left, Democrats, socialists, and communists. It's Angela Box on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Okay, I am going to get back to the tariff stuff, because there's some other observations that I have. But let me, before I lose track of this thought again. Okay, so Meghan Markle, Sentabale, and Prince Harry, and the Biden crime family. All right, what's all this about? A couple weeks ago, there was a Gateway Pundit story, and it wasn't picked up on, and this has not really been talked about, but it is verified, that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's little foundation called Archwell, which every leftist on planet Earth seems to have a, quote, foundation that they can draw a salary from, because it's like, oh, it's a charity, but, well, we got to run the charity, and, we have overhead, and blah, 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 and, listen, it's kind of a racket. I'm going to tell you, like, behind the curtain stuff. I used to run 2 PACs. I was treasurer of 2 PACs. And when you run a PAC, you get to take 15% of anything that comes in. So, same thing with foundations, okay? So they're getting money from that. Let's keep it 100. This is my opinion, of course, allegedly. So they sent $250,000 to Ashley Biden's, quote, foundation, okay, when Biden was still president, and they all thought, oh, Biden's going to run in 2024, and we can maybe grease the skids, and maybe Biden can, send some USAID money to the charity Sentabale. Again, this is all just my supposition and looking at things logically, because this Sentabale charity that Prince Harry founded with this other prince from Lesotho, which, to be fair, no one's like, what's Lesotho? Well, it's this African country that is very impacted by AIDS and HIV, same with Botswana, and so this charity was set up to help those people. And USAID money flowed to that charity to the tune of about $53 million, okay? And then, weirdly, Prince Harry, who, again, is the patron of this charity, gave $250,000 to Ashley Biden. I'm not saying that donating to the Biden crime family would allow Sentabale to receive USAID money, but it's weird. Especially now that we now know what USAID was, basically a slush fund money laundering operation for Democrats. Like, okay. We're going to find out that a lot of these people were getting kickbacks, and they keep teasing us. They're like, well, Doge has found some really troubling things, and we're getting ready to announce those troubling things. And everyone's like, if you didn't do the fraud, you're not worried. But if you did, you're like, oh, crap, is it going to be me? Are they going to call me out? I don't know. But anyway, the point is this. There's this Dr. Sophie Chanduka, who is a leftist. Let's keep it real. She's not some Republican. She's not some conservative. She took over the charity, or she was on the board, and then she was appointed to be the head of the board in 2023. And she started to look into the books a little and say, we need to make some changes. And the board of trustees didn't like that. So this is, again, all my supposition. When she started to make changes, they were not happy with those changes. And then the reason Meghan Markle is attached to this is because they had some polo match in 2024, and Meghan Markle wasn't going to even be there, and Prince Harry was like, well, actually, we're going to have Netflix come to film it, and Sophie Chanduka's like, look, we can't do that. It becomes a commercial enterprise, and you have to get consent from all the people that are there to be filmed. Like, it's a whole thing. You can't just say, oh, my Netflix crew is going to come and film. No, that's not how it works. So he got his nose out of joint about that. And then on the day of the award, Centabale, which again was sponsoring this thing, and that's one of their big fundraisers, was going to award the polo match winner to somebody, whatever. Well, Meghan Markle is like, I need to be up on stage because, of course, she has to be on stage. And listen, I'm gonna tell on myself real quick, okay? As someone who likes to be on stage, I get it, okay? I get it. She wanted to be up there. I got it. Like, it's like, sis, I see you. I see you, okay? You're not fooling me. But she gets up there, and she, like, elbows this Sophie Chanduka lady out of the way, who, again, is the board of the trustees. She's the, like, lady who's supposed to be giving the award. She elbows her out of the way, and she's like, me, and wants her picture taken. And then, of course, the internet was not happy with this, because they already can't stand Meghan Markle, and this made it worse. And everyone's like, what an a-hole. Like, Meghan Markle, you're the worst. It's like, she has no talent. She has no ability except for, like, to get herself publicity. Like, again, I understand what you're doing, Meghan Markle. So the internet did not like it, much like they didn't like Blake Lively being completely tone deaf in the promotional stuff going on with It Ends With Us and the Justin Baldoni thing. It's like very similar level of narcissist, somatic narcissists. They're very obvious to spot. So she was like, okay, I'm not going to be part of the Sussex PR machine. Prince Harry's like, you need to go defend my wife against these horrible people on the internet telling her she's a piece of crap. And Sophie Chanduka's like, I'm not doing that. And that's why Prince Harry eventually left. So Meghan Markle's in his ear, like, being like, you've got to get rid of this lady. And they basically were trying to oust Sophie Chanduka from this. She's like, I'm not leaving. So the trustees left. And now the charity board in England is looking at this charity, like, with a microscope. And Sophie Chanduka's like, good, let's look into these things. And I think it's going to be interesting when we come to find out that perhaps, my opinion, maybe there was something fishy going on with Ashley Biden's foundation and the Archwell Foundation and then USAID. I don't know. It's weird. But let's talk about some things that happened over the weekend. Of course, it was the big hands-off. Oh, wait, I want to talk about the tariff stuff real quick, wrap that up with a bow. And I probably will get to the hands-off stuff and the Supreme Court stuff in the fourth segment. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. There's a lot going on. Okay, so back to this tariff stuff. I want everyone to remember that in Trump's first term, he applied tariffs to China. Okay? And he created the most successful economy the world has ever seen. People forget about that. And people also want to forget that Democrats used to be for tariffs. And they used to talk about the trade imbalance. Because the Democrat Party used to be the party of the working man and the party of the everyday American. Not really, but that was their brand. And Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, they all talked about the trade imbalance and that we need tariffs. And I love how Caroline Leavitt is so freaking good. Like, you know, again, Kayleigh McEnany was great, but Caroline Leavitt's holding my beer. Caroline Leavitt is off the cuff. She knows things. It's, you know, I love her pinball brain too, because she can pull things out of her butt that people are like, how does this girl even know this? She's 27 years old. She's fantastic, and she's just going to get better with age. But anyway, Caroline Leavitt was like, you know, bringing up these quotes that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi said, like telling on them. She's like, I'm going to tell on these people. They're not going to get away with this stuff. Like, they were for tariffs, 20 years ago. Like, stop it. So Trump, when he applied tariffs to China, it was so successful. And, of course, until we had the Rona, which was completely organic and just, came from a pangolin, even though it didn't. It came from a lab, and it was probably going to find out that it was purposefully leaked. And we've got connections to the NIH and Fauci and all that stuff that we know is going to come out in time, because the truth always comes out. They did all this to get rid of one guy. It's so obvioso, like you have to be completely blind and up your own butt not to see it. So Trump applying tariffs to China was very successful. So successful, in fact, that Joe Biden did not rescind those tariffs when he came into office. And Trump likes to bring this up. And I have a friend who works for, how can I say this, a publicly funded, let's say, a government-funded radio outlet. Do you know what I'm talking about? They like to talk in dulcet tones. The tariffs are very, very, very bad for the American people, even though as Democrats we used to think they were great. But now they're really, really bad. That place, okay? That place. So this person was telling me that over the weekend, that's all they talked about at this outlet, and talked about how bad the tariffs are, and it's just really bad, and blah, blah, blah. But again, you guys, you used to be for it. Like, you need to like have a little, honesty. You need to just say, we don't like it because Trump is doing it. Like, I would have more respect for these people if they're like, we don't like these things because Donald Trump wants to do them. And that's that. I mean, and because he says it, we have to be against it. Like, I would have some integrity. The little integrity that you people have left, at least own, we're doing all these things because we hate Trump. And on that note, what do I have, like 3 minutes? Okay, we can get into this. Let's get into those little hands-off protests from last weekend, because, when we come to find out what USAID was really up to, and we know that George Soros got USAID money to the tune of $250 million, we know that these other groups like the Tides Foundation and Indivisible and the Rockefeller Foundation and the Ford Foundation and the Carnegie Foundation and Planned Parenthood and SEIU, all these organizations that we're going to come to find out we're getting kickbacks and money from you basically, the taxpayers. So these organic protests that just magically sprouted up over the weekend. And they had pre-printed signs, and it was completely organized. Look, I'm not saying that a nationwide protest can't be organized organically. I mean, maybe it can, but it wasn't. I mean, this was completely funded by the most massive left-wing organizations that you've ever seen. And they all said the same thing. And they all said, Elon Musk is a Nazi, and Trump is Hitler, and all the things. But if you go on X, what's funny to me? How they're all lamenting. They're like, oh, I don't have free speech anymore. It's like, okay, you're so dumb, because I went on X and found all the things that you were saying. If Elon Musk was this tyrannical censorship guy, why was he able to go on X and find all the things that you're complaining about? You have as free speech as anybody else does. You know who doesn't have free speech? People in the UK, people in Europe. They're literally jailing people over in the UK, over in Germany, for posting memes against politicians that talk about, it's like, I'm anti-free speech. And there's this one thing in Germany, this one placard that someone was holding up, like it was one of those AI-generated things, some German politician, and he's holding a sign saying, I hate free speech. And they literally jailed the guy for posting that meme. It's like, you're doing the thing that you said you weren't doing. What? Like all the things that J.D. Vance went to the Munich Security Conference and said you're doing. It's wild to me. So this hands-off protest, I'm not going to deny that it was big, but it wasn't organic, and it was paid for. And we're going to talk about that more when we get back. You're listening to the Angela Locke Show. Be right back.
There are only two genders, and one of them is right here. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Now, I am not denying that there are a lot of freaks out last weekend, okay? There were freaks aplenty, and they're the same people that rioted in 2020, the fiery but mostly peaceful protests, which I'm pretty sure that over the summer and as Trump ramps up what he's doing, saving the country essentially from these freaks, the protests are going to get worse. They're going to turn violent. This is my prediction. I hope it doesn't happen, but I think it will, if 2020 is any example. I'm not saying that there weren't a lot of people out there, but it's the same conglomerate of losers that were there for the BM protests. And the protests about the drug addict George Floyd, because, we have to celebrate a St. George Floyd of fentanyl. It's like, well, you can come out of your lockdown state to protest the, First Amendment. You gotta be able to protest, even though we've locked down the country. But as soon as that's over, as soon as you've burnt down everything, you gotta go back into your lockdown and your quarantine, because it's very unsafe out there. Anyway, the same people that did Antifa, the same people that did the Palestinian protests and the students that, were standing for Hamas and all those things, they're the same people. They just change signs. And you can see them. There's expos where you can see these signs that it's just the sign of the day. And these protests are being paid. A lot of them, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them are being paid. If you ask Grok, now, granted, Grok is Twitter's AI, but it's interesting because Grok is, you can go on there and it's generally speaking, a good understanding of what's going on. So the AI of Grok said, one of them said, "Dear Grok, who funds the hands-off protests? What is your current most update/summary? Please specify any source, organizations affiliated like Open Society, Tide, Indivisible, etc." So this is what Grok said. The hands-off protests on April 5th, 2025 were funded by over 150 groups. Funded. So get their troops out there. The left always has more money than the right does. And again, they don't like one billionaire. They don't like Elon Musk, but they don't have any problem with their billionaires. Like Reid Hoffman, who likes to go to Epstein Island, or Bill Gates, who likes to go to Epstein Island, or George Soros, and all those billionaires they're fine with. They love those billionaires. Anyway, it's funded by groups like Indivisible, ACLU, Planned Parenthood, with possible indirect Soros ties. Open Society Foundations gave ACLU $50 million in 2014 and Planned Parenthood $4.75 million in 2016. Indivisible links to Soros via Democracy Alliance, but direct protest funding from him is unclear and debated. So, if George Soros Open Society is involved in this, he, never forget, got $250 million from USAID. Then what does he do? He's not paying, he's not spending his own money on this. He's taking your money and he's giving it to these groups. It's going to be very interesting. But one of the things we saw over the weekend was the mentally ill trannies and the mentally ill people who are like, defeat the Christian right, that are, defeat the fascist KKK. It's wild to me. Here's a sign that was really interesting. So they don't have any problem with their illegal aliens, and I'm going to get to Jasmine Crockett, that ratchety old hoe. I am going to get to this woman. This woman needs to be exited from the Congress. Like, she's an embarrassment. She's, at this point, worse than AOC. But at the same time, I'm like, I want her to stay because she's really a disaster. Anyway, so this one sign, or this illegal alien sign that they said about Elon, where is this thing? Oh, here it is. Go back to Africa. You drug addict, deadbeat, 14 times baby daddy, welfare queen. What? Parasitic, illegal immigrant. That's one of the signs that was there. It's like, that's wild to me. Can you imagine if some Republican held up a sign about someone that came from Africa and said, go back to Africa? Okay, let me step back and miss the lightning. Speaking of stepping back and missing the lightning, let's talk about this ratchet hoe, Jasmine Crockett. That's right, I said it. Jasmine Crockett has really distinguished herself recently. She, a couple of weeks ago, spoke in front of, I don't even know what organization it was, like some Planned Parenthood, I don't know, some left-wing group, and called Governor Abbott Governor Hot Wheels because he is disabled and in a wheelchair. That was a nice step back and miss the lightning moment. And then literally like 2 days ago, she said this about illegal aliens, okay? This is what they think about illegal aliens. She said, and I'm paraphrasing, we're done picking cotton. We ain't gonna pick the cotton no mo. Essentially saying that illegal aliens are the slave labor that black people used to be. It's like, well, thank you for admitting what you really think is going on here. And to be fair, that is what's going on, isn't it? The illegal aliens, these multinational corporations that either farm out work overseas or use illegal alien labor, that's what illegal aliens are doing. They're picking the crops. And I'm not saying all illegal aliens are doing that, but a lot of them are. And, they're like, who's going to mow your lawn? Who's going to watch your kids? It's these people these very well-off people that think that illegal aliens are a subset of the population of society with this classist society that they've created that need to do these things that, quote, Americans just won't do. It's really reminiscent. If you've never read Brave New World, you need to read Brave New World. Because in Brave New World, they created classes of people, the alphas, the betas, the epsilons. I can't think of the other ones, but there was a lower class of people that did all the grunt work. And they were just fine with that. The alphas and the betas were good with that. It's very eerie how much our society is so similar to 1984 and Brave New World. And mush those together, they had a baby. That's sort of what we all lived through, and that the left seems to have no problem with. So the hands-off protests, yeah, it was just a conglomerate of the same usual suspects. A lot of them still wearing masks. And I really think, like, I really want to walk up to someone one day. I haven't had the cojones to do it yet, but don't put it past me. I might. When I see someone wearing a mask now, I want to go up to them, and I want to go, still? You're still doing that? You're still okay. All right. Why? I think it's just a way for them to signal to us that they're part of the resistance. Which, okay, they have the ability to do that. It's just, thank you for exposing yourself. Okay. So before we leave the show, we do need to talk about a couple things. The Supreme Court recently has given Trump a few wins with the Alien Enemies Act, saying that all these judges are like, you know what, you need to bring back these illegals because, we need them. We need these illegal alien terrorists here. And the Supreme Court finally stepped in, and it almost could have gone the other way because Amy Coney Barrett, this lady, I don't know what's going on with Amy Coney Barrett. She must have been threatened. She must have been told that someone's going to murder her kids. Like, I don't know what's going on with her. But she's ruling very strangely. And she sided with the liberals on this. She's like, no, Trump, you don't have the right to use the Alien Enemies Act to deport terrorists. Like, no, we need them back. Like, it's wild to me. It's wild to me that we have judges now that are demanding the DOJ say to Pam Bondi, you need to give us your case why not Rashid Khalidi, I wish, that double-bagger, what's his name, Mahmoud Khalil, the guy, the Hamas guy, that it's obvious that he's pro-Hamas, and he's saying all these things on campus. He's on a student visa. He's here by invitation, and this judge is like, you need to prove why he has to leave. I'm so sick of these people. So the Supreme Court, had a couple good rulings. But, they're going to screw up again. I want to get to Austin Metcalf, and I'm sorry to kind of jump around here, but I want to make sure I talk about Austin Metcalf. The young man, the honor student, the 4.0 honor student football player, this beautiful child that was murdered in cold blood by a white kid. Oh, just kidding. It was a black kid. Kid named Carmelo Anthony. I mean, Carmelo with a K. When I saw that name, I was like, okay. I mean, I could pretty much tell you what happened before we knew any details at all. And the reason we know we know it was a black kid that did it is because the media's not talking about it. Because if Carmelo Anthony had been stabbed by Austin Metcalf, there would be riots right now. You know it, and I know it, okay? But the media is so disgusting, they don't even want to talk about this. And what's even more disgusting is the left has seemingly banded behind this kid and started GoFundMes and Give, Send, Go. Give, Send, Go, how dare you, shame on you. Give, Send, Go, GoFundMes, giving money to this guy's family. Just like they're giving money to Mahmoud Khalil and all the other people. They don't care about Austin Metcalf. No. I'm so sick of these people getting on the wrong side of every damn issue. So to wrap up the show, getting on the wrong side of every damn issue with this tariff stuff, the way they're melting, the way they keep hammering it, just, do the opposite. Understand what the media's game is. They're leading you down a path that they want you to go on. You need to think logically here. This is not a time to have a spine of jelly, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to stand firm. And it is time to understand that there is a plan, and let's stick to the plan. And on that note, I have to leave you. I'm sorry. That's just my time. You've been listening to The Angela Box Show. Until next time, everybody, keep kicking ass and taking names. Peace!